GZTV here, and I'm back with my second video of the day. In this video, it's a very special one. We're going over my top 50 best albums of 2020. This is my personal preference. It may not be for the general public of music listeners, but this is just my top 50. So let's get into it. Number 50 is King's Disease by Nas. It just didn't do a lot for me, but it made the top 50 because it is Nas. I can't deny Nas's greatness. He will always have a place as one of the best rappers of all time, so I can't take that away from him. This album was super mid, very disappointing. The last really good album I've ever heard from Nas was Nasir, so we're gonna move on. Next is The Smartest by Tee Grizzley. I love Tee Grizzley. I listen to Scriptures. None of his albums really have a lot of replay value on them, and this one is no different. There's some good tracks on there. He's had some tracks with like Meek Mill, Lil Baby. Winning was a good one, but it's just, I can't listen to this album over and over for a long period of time. It just can't work. Moving on. 48 is My Turn by Lil Baby. Super overrated album for the year. Again, with the replay value, this one doesn't have much of it. But it's up here because it was like super iconic for the year, super popular. Yeah, moving on, all I gotta say. 7 is Blame It on Baby with DaBaby, another extremely overrated artist, overrated album in my honest opinion. He's super repetitive, he doesn't change his flow up much. I mean, it's on here because it's got some boppers. It's got Jump with Youngboy, it's got, I can't really think of much more, but if I looked at the track list, I could tell you guys which ones I really liked. Moving on. 6 is Joyner Lucas. Now, I love Joyner Lucas, but the only reason I put it this high up is because there's another album he dropped this year that was way better, and this one is good. It's got Zimzima. That's really the only like super big banger on here, so with that now we're just gonna move on. Next is Time Served with Moneybagg Yo. I don't listen to Moneybagg Yo that much, but this album was really good. It had a lot of good tracks. It just doesn't compare to the other albums on this list. 4 is Artist 2.0 with A Boogie. Definitely not one of his greatest albums, but it's decent. It's got a few good tracks. Yeah, not a lot to say. We're gonna move on again. Next is The Allegory by Royce da 5'9". I love Royce da 5'9", collaborating with Eminem on many tracks in their careers, but I hardly listened to this album at all, but it deserves a spot up here. It was really good for what I've heard. Next is Extinction Level Event 2 by Busta Rhymes. Look Over Your Shoulders with Kendrick Lamar alone should make it up here, as well as Calm Down with Eminem. Those two tracks alone made it up here, so I ain't got a lot to say. The Michael Jackson sample is amazing, one of the best in hip-hop this year. We're gonna move on. 1 is Meet the Woo V2. Not one of Pop's best albums of the year. He obviously had his posthumous album. This one was still good. It's just he's got better. It's kind of like the Joyner Lucas situation. So on that note, I'm going to move on. Next is A Love Letter to You 4 by Trippie Redd. Very overhated artist. Very underrated album as well. He's got some really good tracks on here. He's got the one with Lil Tecca. He's got the one with Chance the Rapper. Great tracks on this one. He's also got Death with DaBaby, of course, but we're going to move on that note. Next is Mafia Business by Shoreline Mafia, very underrated album. It's got a really good West Coast vibe to it, the drums, the style of rapping. It's really good. You guys should check it out. I know a lot of you probably haven't heard of this album, but it's really good. It's got some bangers on this. Next is Unlocked by Denzel Curry and Kenny Beats. Very good instrumentation throughout, great rapping. It's just, the reason why it's this high is because, you know, I didn't listen to it that much this year, but I still respect it. Moving on. 37 is Circles by Mac Miller, one of the best posthumous albums of the year. And the reason it's as high is, again, I haven't listened to it enough to put it higher. I know it's a good album, but I haven't listened to it enough to put it higher on the list. 6 is From a King to a God from Conway the Machine. This is also like one of those where I haven't listened to enough to put it higher, but I already know it's a good album. I've heard positive reviews from it, so I just had to include it on this list. 35 is Burden of Proof from Benny the Butcher, another Griselda Records member. Again, haven't listened to it enough to put it higher. A lot of high praise. I'm going to say this for a decent amount of the albums on this list, especially the ones this high on the list. We're going to move on. 34 is The Slow Rush by Tame Impala. This is one I actually kind of liked a little bit. A few of the tracks are super vibey, but there's albums this year I enjoyed more. So on that note, we're going to move on. 33 is After Hours by The Weeknd. I know you guys heard me praise it on my Genius Top 50 Albums reaction, but it's in one of those where I haven't listened to it enough. I've listened but 2 songs, but those 2 songs are enough to get on here, kind of like Busta Rhymes. It's got a few songs that are enough to get on this list. 2 is Wanna by Gunna. I enjoy this more than the previous albums, but the replay value is super low on this one. It's kind of bland compared to like Drip or Drown 2 or his tapes with Lil Baby. So on that note, we're going to move on. 31 is High Off a Life by Future, although it's not a perfect album. It's got Solitaires, it's got the one with Lil Uzi, I can't think of what it's called. Those 2 alone are, again, enough to get up here. 30 is Love vs. the World 2 by Lil Uzi Vert. I probably shouldn't count Deluxes as separate albums, but this one definitely felt like a separate album. He pretty much dropped a double album, but this is a separate album. It's got a completely different vibe than Eternal Atake. It's got a lot of bangers, Strawberry Peels. It's got No Auto. It's got Trap This Way, and a lot of other things. So we're going to move on. 29 is Sweet Action by Jack Harlow. I know he dropped another album recently, but I think this is the best out of the 2. It's got obviously What's Poppin' on it. I can't think of the other tracks, but again, if I looked at the track list, I'd definitely tell you guys what are the good songs in here. Just go take a listen if you haven't. 28 is Pop Smoke's Posthumous. Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon. Overall, really good album. It just doesn't compare to some of the other albums dropped this year. I think it's overrated in a lot of lists, but yeah, it's good. I mean, a lot of 50 Cent influence from 50 Cent's most iconic songs on here. A lot of good features. Moving on. 7 is Lil Boat 3 by Lil Yachty. Personally, I like Lil Yachty a lot more than some of the rappers I've already named. So he had to get up here. Obviously, he had the Tokyo Drift sample, Pardon Me with Future. A lot of good tracks. Most of the tracks are hits, but they're not super big hits to the point where I can put this album higher. Moving on. 26 is Run the Jewels with Run the Jewels 4. I hardly ever listen to this album, but the amount of respect they get in the rap community deserves a high placement. We're going to move on. 25 is Heaven or Hell by Don Toliver. Really good album. No Photos, Spaceship. Obviously, the tracks that blew him up. I think No Idea. I think that's what it's called. A lot of the tracks that blew him up are on here as well. Really good tracks. We're going to move on. 24 is ADHD by Joyner Lucas. People overhate the crap out of this album, and I don't quite understand it. He's got the Lotto. He's got the title track. I think he's got Isis with Logic on it. And yeah, rapping-wise, it's really good. I don't know why people are hating on this, and I respect Joyner for singing on this one. 3 is The Goat by Polo G. Super overrated, but it's good. I can understand it. Again, like I said in one of my previous videos, he's one of those artists that's overrated, but you can be proud to listen to him. There's no shame in listening to Polo G. No, Martin and Gina's good. Wishing for a Hero, the Tupac sample. Really good stuff there from Polo G. A lot of respect to the rap ancestors. 22 is So Icy Summer by Gucci Mane. Not a lot of people listen to this album, but it's super enjoyable. First listen in, I was liking every second of it. It's just a super vibey trap album that I like, and Gucci Mane hardly ever disappoints, so we're going to move on. 21 is Legends Never Die by Juice WRLD is Posthumous. I feel like it's kind of like Polo G. It's kind of overrated, but at the same time, you can't feel shameful in listening to stuff like this. It's great. Wishing Well, Confessions, Man of the Year, Come and Go. A lot of good tracks on here. Can't be mad, or can't feel shame in listening to this. 20 is Trapped on Cleveland 3 by Lil Keed. One of the best trap albums to drop all year, no doubt. It was amazing. It was amazing. I mean, almost every track was banging. It had a lot of good features like Young Thug on it. It was just really good. I can't hate on it at all. His Dark Lane demo tapes with Drake, one of the most overhated albums of the year. I don't understand why. It's got a lot of good tracks. Deep Pockets Landed, From Florida with Love. It's obviously got D4L, the highlight track with like Future and Young Thug. It's sick. It's a really sick album. I don't understand why people are hating on this necessarily. It's one of his weaker, but I don't, like, for 2020, it was super good to me. 18 is a written testimony by Jay Electronica. Great features from guys like Travis Scott and Jay-Z. Travis Scott really added to a lot of them tracks with the background vocals. Jay-Z with some very controversial verses. And that's what I like in rap music, you know, calling people out. It creates drama, but it's what we need in hip-hop. When there's nothing going on, that's exactly what you need. 18 is Pray for Paris by Westside Gunn. 327 alone got it this high. That track was one of my favorite rap tracks of the year. I can't think of the other songs on here, but Tyler, the Creator, produced a really great piano track, kind of. It's underrated for sure. It's the best Griselda record that dropped this year, in my opinion. So on that note, I'm going to move on. 16 is Detroit 2 by Big Sean. One of the best rap records to drop all year. It's super good. It's got written words, or spoken words from guys like Dave Chappelle and Erykah Badu, Stevie Wonder. Very iconic people, adding a lot to their Why Would I Stop, The Baddest, ZTFO with Travis, Lithuania. Good tracks, good tracks. It mixes a lot of trap and pure hip-hop, and I love it. For that is No Pressure by Logic. Logic's farewell album. Hopefully, though, we get Ultra 85, but this is a farewell from Logic, and he went out in style. This is a great album, another one of the best rap records of the year. It just had a lot in there. Dad Bod was good, A to Z, Celebration, Soul Food 3. The intro was also really good. Good samples, the robotic theme that we saw on Confessions for a Dangerous Mind. Just a really good album. 14 is Pray for Love by Rod Wave, super underrated artist. I put him over Logic just because A, the album is more enjoyable, and B, it just has a lot more emotion in it. Yeah, I just really like this album. Rags to Riches, obviously. Girl of My Dreams, Heart on Ice. No, that was probably a previous album, but we're gonna move on. 12 is Fuck Love with Kid Laroi. Super overhated artist. I don't understand where the hate is coming from. He's got a great voice, great melodies, great instrumentals, great topics. He's Juice WRLD, really. He's Juice WRLD. He's going to be the Juice WRLD of rap for the next few years, and I'm going to enjoy every second of it. 11 is Funeral by Lil Wayne, one of the most overlooked albums of the year. I feel like people forget that this album dropped this year. It was really good. It had a lot of good features. Adam Levine, Lil Baby, Takeoff, a lot. And the tracks were really good. This is one of his best recent albums. I think it's better than the Carter 5. But yeah, it's one of my favorite recent albums from this guy. Number 10 is IDK and Friends 2 by IDK. I just started listening to him a couple of years ago when he dropped, oh my god, Is He Real? That's what it was called. And I have the CD of that. It's just a really good album, and he followed up really well with IDK and Friends 2. It's a soundtrack album, but it's really good. It's got some good features like A$AP Ferg, Juicy J. But yeah, let's move on. 9 is 31520 by Childish Gambino, a surprise album he dropped. At first, I think he dropped on his website, but I think he later dropped on streaming services. It's really good. It's different from what I'm used to hearing, and when I heard it, I was like, wow, this is super different. It seems kind of old-fashioned. Like, I don't know what to describe it, but it's like old-fashioned, it's just funky music, like super groovy. You can get into it really well. He's got 21, Ariana Grande on here. He's obviously got the summer song. I forgot what it was called, but he has that on this album, and it's great. Is Eternal Take by Lil Uzi Vert. Maybe I overrated this a little bit, but it's super enjoyable all the way through. Prices. Celebration Station's amazing. Not a lot of features on here, and I'm not mad at that because Uzi on his own did very well on this. And he brought the features out for the deluxe, but Uzi did really well on this by himself. Only one with Sid from Odd Future, but yeah, let's move on. I hate me for this, but 7 is Whole Lotta Red by Playboi Carti. Personally, I enjoyed this one. Almost every track slapped, but it was a 24-song album, so some of the bad songs were made up with the good songs. King Vamp is a great song. I Love You, I Hate You is a really good song. Control is a great song. Go to the Moon with Kanye, and he had Metamorphosis with Kid Cudi, and he had TNX with Future. Those were the only features, but he did good on his own for the most part. 6 is See You When I'm Famous by Kyle. Super underrated. Super underrated. This album's great. It mixes a lot of elements of pop and rap in it. And what Kyle usually does. And it's super good. I'm not going to say a lot. He's got Bryson Tiller on here. He's got Tyga on here. What is it? Kid and Mr. Man or whatever it's called. That was a really good track rap-wise. So we're going to move on. Is Limbo by Amine. I love this album. This is a great album. This album is amazing. Mama, like the Tupac version of Mama for him was good. Woodlawn, Burden. I don't know why, but I like that obnoxious yelling sample going on. It was really good to me. There's a lot of great songs. Go check it out if you haven't. Savage Mode 2 by 21 Savage, one of the most successful horrorcore trap albums I've ever heard. Great production by Metro Boomin, great samples from Deanna Ross and 50 Cent with Miniman. Snitches and Rats was great. Oh, and Morgan Freeman's narration of the album was insane. That was definitely one of the best narrations I've ever heard. So yeah, moving on. Here's Man on the Moon 3 by Kid Cudi. This is one of my favorite recent ones since Kid Ski Ghost. I think that's one of his most recent, but we haven't seen a work of art as good as Kid See Ghost. And then we got Man on the Moon 3. Great tracks, very few features which I actually liked. Pop Smoke, Skepta, Phoebe Bridgers, which I haven't listened to much, but he's got Trippie Redd as well. It's a great album. It's very psychedelic, vibey, spacey. Everything you want from Kid Cudi. It's great. Number 2 is Music to Be Murdered by Eminem. I'm not even being biased towards the artist, but it's just a really good album. Not a lot to say. Great features. Anderson .Paak, Don Toliver, Royce da 5'9", Black Thought, King Crooked. A lot of great features. Skylar Grey, I believe. Dr. Dre did some of the production. It was just really good, well put together. For New Eminem, it wasn't too bad. Like, New Eminem hasn't really hit that differently lately, but it was not bad. And then he dropped Side B. DA Got That Dope had crazy production. Nat was good. Book of Rhymes. Alfred's Theme, as much as you guys hate that beat, it's super hard to rap over something like that, so I respect it. One is Alfredo by Freddie Gibbs. This is my favorite rap record of the year, no doubt in my mind. The Alchemist had a Madlib MF Doom Mad Villainy effect on this album. Just great samples. You know, he's got Tyler the Creator, he's got Benny the Butcher, Rick Ross. A lot of good features on here, too. 1985 is my favorite. Frank Mason was really good. Something to Rap About with Tyler was really good. It's just a really good album, and it's kind of underrated for being this good of an album. I definitely think it should win the Grammy. So, yeah. That is gonna do it for my top 50 albums of 2020. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, discuss my choices in the comment section. Tap the noti bell if you want more videos. It has been GZTV. I'm out. Peace.